What's going on, beautiful people? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, y'all, let's talk about this situation at hand. So former world champion boxer Amir Khan was being robbed at gunpoint while he was with his wife. And during the robbery, his wife ran away from the scene of the crime while her husband Amir Khan was being robbed. So now Amir Khan's wife she's being faced with backlash. She's receiving backlash for how she responded to the situation. People are frowning upon her, looking at her like, how could you leave your husband's side during a desperate situation like this? How could you leave his side when his life is on the line, so on and so forth? And so she responded by telling people, you don't know how you would respond in a situation like that, right? So I'm going to pose this question to the men on the channel. Would you as a man look at your wife differently if she left your side while you were being robbed? And to the women, I want to pose this question. Would you as a woman leave your husband's side while he's being robbed at gunpoint, right? So I'm gonna respond to the question for the men, right? I would not look at my wife any differently if she ran during a time where I was being robbed at gunpoint. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I would want her to leave the situation because who knows? We've heard countless stories of guys, robbers, robbing people and getting exactly what they want and still choosing to kill the victims of the crime, right? And so in a situation like that, we got children. I want one of us to be alive for our children. And as a man, I would be willing to die on my shield for my wife and my family. I don't want my wife being able to die in a situation like this. I want our children to have at least one parent to love and take care of them properly, like we've been trained to do our whole life, right? And I want to say this too, that people that are coming at Amir Khan's wife. She's absolutely right. You don't know what you would do in a situation like that. You know what I mean? In a situation like that, it's either fight or flight. Sometimes it's even you're gonna freeze in a situation like that. So that happens too. People don't know how they will respond until they're put in that exact situation, right? People can talk about they would do this, they would have did this, they would have done that, but you don't know until you actually put in that situation. It was like a knee-jerk reaction. She had to think swiftly, and her reaction, she was a split second decision. And she decided to run. I don't think Amir Khan looks at his wife any differently. You know what I mean? I will say this though: the women that I've dated, the women my children have two different mothers. The women that I have children with, they would have stayed with me. I know that for a fact, but I wouldn't have want them to. Is what I'm saying. I wouldn't want them to do that at all. I would want them to go and get as far away as possible from the scene of the crime and let me figure out whatever is going to happen. But I don't want her. I wouldn't want my lady. I wouldn't want my woman, my wife, to end up getting hurt in a situation like that. But I always found it interesting because people always say, you know, what they will and they won't do. And again, life is not a video game. You know, people can play out all these scenarios in their head, but until they're faced with those situations, that's when you know exactly what you're going to do. I remember a few years ago in Chicago, there was a woman got robbed. A bank robber. She was working at a bank, and she got robbed for a nice amount of money. And people were like, people were looking at her funny because she was working behind bulletproof glass. So they were looking at her like, why did she give up the money? Why did she give up the money? She's working behind bulletproof glass. She would have been okay. And I remember they asked this woman called in the station. She was like, they were asking people would they have given up money even though they were behind the bulletproof glass. And this woman calls up talking about no, I would have never gave up the money. It's behind bulletproof glass. Why would I do that? They can't shoot me through the glass. I wouldn't have gave it up. And I'm looking like, okay, it sound good. I'm not going to be the test dummy to see if this bulletproof glass actually works. I'm not doing it. Hell no. I'm not going to be the one that you try to figure out if the glass works or not on. We're not going to do that. So that lady can talk all she wants to. I wouldn't have gave up the money. I'm behind bulletproof glass. If dude would have came up there to the window with a rocket launcher, a grenade launcher, and told her to give up that bread, she giving up that bread. She can talk like that because she not in the situation at hand. She's not faced with the situation currently. So she can talk all this rah-rah talk and she wouldn't have done this and she wouldn't have done that. But you don't know how you going to respond until you're face to face with that situation. Again, I know that the women that I've dated, I know majority of them wouldn't have left my side. However, I would have wanted them to because as a man, I wouldn't want my lady going down in a situation like this. You know what I'm saying? Especially if we have children together, but even if we don't have children together, I wouldn't want her going down in a situation like this at all. That's just how much I would love, I have love for the women that I've been in love with, so on and so forth, right? But I wouldn't want her to go down in a situation like that at all. So, I don't agree with the backlash that Amir Khan's wife is receiving. Like I said, everybody can talk about, because in certain situations, a lot of people talk about they would have did this, they would have did that, and all of that. Again, everybody is a gangster until gangster stuff occurs. You just never know. I've heard of men running in that situation, right? Grown men running in that situation. I've heard of you don't know how you're going to respond, man. It's a quick second split decision. Split second, you have to think in a split second what you're going to do. So, man, I don't think she's like a foul person or a bad wife for that. I know women who wouldn't have left their husband's side, but I don't think she's just vile or, you know what I mean? I don't think she doesn't love her husband because of that. I just think she was scared. She panicked. She ran. She didn't know what to do. Now, you know what I mean? And I'm sure now she probably would respond differently. I'm sure she would, would have switched it up. She would have probably stayed by his side during the situation now. But in that moment, she probably had never been faced with an element of danger like that in her life and was like, oh my God, what to do? She just started running. The first reaction, we gonna just flight, get out of here, flee the scene. Amir Khan stood there and everything like that. But, I mean, people can say what they want to say, man. But I don't think she's just a heinous wife or she don't love him. I've seen women do way worse, you know what I mean? So, I've seen women leave they dude because the dude lost a fight or something like that. You know what I mean? But this woman, I just think she was scared. She was afraid. She reacted like a lot of people would react. Because even dudes talk all this talk like they I'm talking about talk like they Django. Talk like they goddamn, I don't know. Talk like they just from one of these dudes from these dang on video games like they playing Grand Theft Auto. When Grand Theft Auto type stuff happen in real life, they respond completely different from what they describe in their everyday verbiage and their everyday lingo. They not responding like that, like how they would, I would have done this, I would have done that. Nah, bro. People gonna react based upon how they react in a moment of fear, in a moment of danger. You just never know, man. So I don't think Amir Khan's wife should be faulted for that. But women, would you leave your husband's side while he's being robbed at gunpoint? And men, would you look at your wife differently if she left you while you were being robbed? Let me know. Leave the comments in the comment section below. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Machiavelli Mills TV. I'm out. Peace.